Coming up on episode 3, we talk about the last 3 games for the Penticton Vees, a loss in Trail and wins in Westside and at home to Vernon. The World Junior A Challenge that gets going next month. 2 V players are involved in that. And we'll get to our media panel with Dave Crompton next on Coach's Corner.
Direct from the Best Damn Sports Bar on Martin Street in Penticton, this is Coach's Corner. It's time for your weekly fill of Vees conversation with members of the Vees organization, fans, and local media. And let's get to your hockey talk with the Vees head coach Fred Harvinson and your host, Fraser Rogers.
Welcome to another episode of Coach's Corner from the Best Damn Sports Bar in Penticton. It's episode 3, as we'll talk about a busy week. The Vees in the midst of 4 games in 5 days. They played one of those games. That was Wednesday night in Trail. We'll talk about that tonight. We'll review last weekend. Westside and Vernon, both wins, both dramatic wins in different cases. We'll preview the weekend that's going to be coming up. 3 games in 3 days, including 2 games in less than 24 hours. Cowichan on Saturday, Surrey on Sunday afternoon at home, and Vernon Friday night in Vernon, a rematch of last Saturday's game. Some announcements regarding some roster players playing nationally, and we'll get a media panel with Dave Crompton from the Penticton Herald. Well, Fred, let's talk about the last 3 games so far. First, last weekend, a road win, Friday in Westside, 8-3. It was highlighted by what I thought was a terrific start by your team.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I think we came out in the first period, especially the first 10 minutes of the game, and really established, the tempo of the game, I guess. And I think we did a lot of little things well, getting pucks deep in the west side in the Warriors zone, and I think we were hard on the puck and really created a lot of havoc for their decor.
Mario Lucci in that game, one of the best games he's probably had as a player in high school or junior. 5 points, 1 goal, 4 assists. Obviously that was noticed, as we'll talk about it later, but his play of late has been something special.
Yeah, no question about it. I mean, he, I think this has been the last month or so has been a big learning curve for him, and he's obviously handled it real well. A lot of different experiences that maybe he didn't have to deal with in high school, and so, it was an outstanding evening for him, and when he brings his A game, he's definitely tough to beat. And there were that line of Lucia and Connor Riley and St. Dennis definitely led the charge. And back to what I said at the beginning, I thought they played real high tempo, and it pushed the rest of our guys to do the same.
One of those things you talk about, experiences, not used to maybe being a physical target. We talked about it on the radio ad nauseum, but it seems like he gets fired up when he gets targeted physically by the opposition. Yeah,
and I think that's something that's changed from maybe the first game or 2 of the season, where I think he was learning of how to react to that and how to respond, and the player that he wants to be a hockey player, and he's a smart kid, and I agree with you. I've noticed in the last 5 or 6 games when someone takes a pop or a run at him, that he probably comes back twice as hard, and so hopefully guys will keep taking runs at him.
Okay, let's fast forward to a night later at home, Vernon, the first game between Vernon and Penticton. Much has been made about these 2 teams this year, competing for first place, first match of the season, and your team had an impressive win in front of a big crowd, a 6-2 victory at home.
Yeah, it was a good night for everyone. I think it was a very electric atmosphere in the building that night, and I think the fans definitely helped push us through to the win. And you read some of the things that they talked about that maybe they didn't see it the same way, but I thought it was a pretty the first period was probably a little bit of back and forth, and then I thought after that we kind of started taking the play, and by the 3rd period I thought once again we had maybe a few more chances than we could even capitalize on a few more opportunities, and we didn't. But you know what? When the game was on the line, we were able to make a play, and Zach Urban made a very good play at a key time after the Vipers had brought the game back to 1.
That was your 7th win of the season, and what I noticed about that game, you talked about the top line on Friday night. It wasn't the top line necessarily in the beginning. It was your secondary scoring. Curtis Loic, for example, had a big goal early on.
Yeah, we talked about pushing the puck wide on their D-core, and we did, and fired it on net, and there was a big juicy rebound there for him, and he followed up to the net and made the play. And then the second goal, same line there, where we win a draw, and you get Grant Nicholson getting to the front of the net and taking the goalie's eyes away for a deflection goal, and kind of got us off on the right foot, got the crowd into it, and obviously you saw better things to come as the game went on.
Grant Nicholson continuing his strong play. Oh wait, let's go to Wednesday night in Trail, an arena that's been difficult for Penticton to play in for whatever reason the last couple of years. A back and forth game, a 4-3 loss, but a game I thought your team had every opportunity to win with the chances they had.
Yeah, you know what? There was probably a couple guys that didn't have their best game, but that wasn't that shouldn't have been enough to take away the W off our side. I thought that we came out real quick considering the trip and everything else, and score a quick goal, and things are looking like we're going to be moving in the right direction. Then bang, they score on their first shot, and next 4 shots in, they're up 2-1, and from that point on, it seemed like we were always trying to play catch up, and we tie the game. So I felt that we had probably should have been up 2-1 or 3, 2-0, 2-1, maybe 3-1 with 2 missed breakaways in the first period, and instead it's a 2-2 game. And you got to give Trail a lot of credit that once we kind of allowed them to hang around, and they took advantage of that and really played hard. And there was one thing I didn't really like from our team. I just thought that maybe we got a little frustrated. We took a few too many penalties. I thought the fourth goal they scored was on a bad penalty. And that's something that we have to learn from. That when things don't go smooth or don't go easy, that you can't panic and start let your frustrations take over. And I thought the third period we played very well. Had 2 or 3 times we hit the crossbar or post, and for whatever reason, I thought we deserved all the penalties we took, but I thought that at the same time that when we battled hard and fought for pucks, and it didn't seem like we were getting the calls going the other way late in the game, and especially the one where we got tripped and then got called for obviously a dive in the last minute of the game.
Well, I can't comment on that much because I had a policy I had to sign, but I want to ask you now about something you just touched on. It seemed like your team dominated the third period. And one encouraging sign made from last night is the compete level. Your team never quit, even being down 4-2 in the second period.
Yeah, you know what? I mean, we're not going to hit everybody was singing the praise, last weekend, and all of a sudden you lose a game on Wednesday. There's 50 more games to go, so it's nothing to get too freaked out about. And same if things don't, if you don't win all the 3 games coming up this weekend. It's a long haul, and you got to. The one thing we don't want to ever take away is our compete or our work ethic, and I thought that at times last night, we played with a high energy motor, and for whatever reason we didn't get the break that we needed to score that next goal. We missed the net a couple times in tight, hit the post as I mentioned. Fogarty put it over the over the net on a partial breakaway, and a lot of those have been going for us, but. I haven't seen a season where everything goes proper for you, every game, every minute. So nothing new this year.
Well, that's junior hockey. It's a 60-game schedule, as you mentioned. I don't think the team has to worry at all yet. I want to quickly maybe touch on your home record, 4-0, dominant at home. Your road record, I don't say it's much different. It's 3-2 with 1 overtime loss, but I don't see much different in the way this team plays from home and road. Do you pinpoint some area that might need improvement on the road?
Not really. It's just hard to win on the road. Teams get last change. They're in there. A building like last night, it's hard because it's, the bounces are different in that building. They got square corners. If there is a home ice advantage, probably teams like going into Merritt, going to PG, going into Trail, they're hard because the ice surface is a little different and the confines are different. But other than that, we just keep approaching it the same way.
Square corners in Trail, to say the least. All right, we'll take our first break on the show. When we come back in segment 2, we'll talk about the World Junior A Challenge and talk about 2 Vees players in particular that affects them so far, and maybe get your GM hat on, and then how it affects the roster the next couple weeks. This is Coach's Corner from the Best Damn Sports Bar. We'll be back after this.
Here's a look at the Vees' upcoming schedule. Join us next time from the Best Damn Sports Bar on Martin Street in Penticton for another episode of Coach's Corner.
And welcome back to Coach's Corner from the Best Damn Sports Bar here in Penticton. Segment 2 now, we'll talk about the World Junior A Challenge. 1 year ago, it was in Penticton in the SOEC. This year, it's in Langley, and 2 Vees players have a high honor. Mike Riley and Mario Lucia named to Team USA.
Yeah, they were named today, and we notified the players that both are very excited to be able to play for their country. It's special for our program, obviously, to have the 2 players playing for that for Team USA, and then we'll be finding out shortly here about any of the players that will have the opportunity to play for Team Canada West.
I want to talk about the selection because Team USA since 2007 when they participated in this tournament, predominantly it's been USHL players. They don't really go up to the BCHL, but 2 players that had successful years. Mike Riley, leading defenseman in scoring. Mario Lucia, 3rd overall in scoring. I guess the numbers, you just can't lie.
Yeah, well, like you say, it's always usually the USHL, but we had Bo Bennett played on the for them when they won the gold a couple of years ago and did extremely well. And the philosophy with Team USA for the World Junior A Challenge is that it's supposed to be a precursor for their World Junior team. And I think they've had 2 different times where a player has played on that team and then in November, and then gone on in January, and played for the World Junior team. So, and at the very least, it's a lot of players that they would be looking at for the following year. So, they really couldn't turn their back on those 2 players, because if you look at that criteria, clearly Mario and Mikey are both candidates for the future World Junior team in the U.S.
I don't know, personal opinion here. What do you think on the radar? Do you think it might be this year or more next year for them for the World Junior team for the USA?
It would be the year after, I'm pretty sure. I mean, I think a big thing will be how they do at this tournament. I mean, they've come in here and done extremely well and played the roles that have been given to them, and they've ran with it. And now when they go to a tournament like that, they have to show that they can take it up another notch, and so you're always being evaluated, and they'll be evaluated strongly at that tournament.
It's 2 players we know for sure, might be a couple more. Put your GM hat on now. How does this might affect you for the next couple of weeks? It'll be about 2 weeks, I think, ballpark it, that you'll miss players, make some calls. I guess you might be busy getting some APs in the lineup.
Well, the first thing is that I want to make it very clear that we really push to, if a player deserves to be on either of those teams, we push hard. I called head of USA Hockey way back just to remind them that we would have some players that they should be looking at. Realistically, Joey Bennick and Stephen Fogarty probably, could have been on that team as well. Mm-hmm. And with Canada West, there'll be a handful of guys that I think that'll have a chance. In saying that, it puts us in a real tough. Anybody that doesn't realize that it's great for recruiting the following year, but at the present time, we could easily have 4 guys plus Logan Johnston out, and that's 5. Could be 5 key players for 4 to 6 games. And the funny thing with Canada West is, therefore, they make the players go out a week earlier than Team USA. So the Canada guys would lose. The Canada players would miss 6 games. Our US guys would miss 4, and they're all against divisional rivals.
I watched the press conference last year at the SOEC announcing the team roster for Team Canada West, and you came on and you said, like you just said now, foremost, you want these players to develop, and if that means sacrificing short term for the Vees, so be it. And so people may not realize it's not all about winning in junior hockey. First and foremost, it's about player development.
Well, yeah, it is, and we strongly believe in that. But I think at some point, a lot of these other teams in our league need to stand up and help our program and say, you know what, maybe it's not right that they go a week before. Like, I don't understand why a U.S. team who's playing in the same tournament would go 7 days later. And a lot of teams in our league sit down and don't say anything because maybe they're not affected by it. We've had 12 players in my 4 years playing that tournament. Now this year, I would be willing to bet that we'll have 2 players probably make Canada West, so we'll be without 4 guys, and that impacts teams in our league. And when people try to talk about, well, in the World Juniors, it's very rare that you'll see a a World Junior team and Major Junior have 4 of their key players out for 6 games. So this year, with only 4 teams making the playoffs, every 2 points mean a lot. But like I said at the top, I'm not going to sacrifice one of our players' dreams or what they deserve, for our well-being.
Well, with Mike Riley so far leading the defensive core for that tournament, I want to transition to another question. Your defense is healthy now. Shane Hanna is back, and I guess it's a perfect timing because he can fill in a spot if Mike Riley goes for that extended period of time, obviously.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And we needed to get Shane back, and he played a little bit of forward last night and then finished up on the back end, and he'll play on the back end tomorrow night in Vernon. And so, with the 21-man roster to start with, and we don't want to go down that path again, but it's created a lot of time spent on our AP list and making sure that we have players that can come in and fill in, and it's going to be critical during that stretch for sure.
All right, and let's talk about the guys behind the defenseman, goaltending. We saw Mike Garte come in last night in relief of Chad Katner. When I see Chad Katner, I see a player with all the abilities in the world, but it seems like the maturation process now is happening with a young goaltender in his first year.
Yeah, and that's, and that's junior hockey, and we're here to support them, and we've got a goaltender coach that works with them that's going to try to get them better and get them focused up on the positives and not dwelling on what some of the negative things that have happened here. And we obviously can't afford to go into games where we're giving up 2 or 3 goals on 10 shots or whatever, but at the same time our team's got to pick up their socks and play well in front of them. So it's we're not hanging anybody out here. Chad's going to be is a big part of our team and will continue to be that one of the big factors in our as we move forward. And it's not like we haven't seen this before, especially at this level. You see it in the National Hockey League where goalies are funny. They can kind of go in on little cycles, and we're hopeful that we can push them through this little funk right now.
Just mentioned Luongo in Vancouver, and there's a perfect example. Okay, tomorrow night, let's talk about some previews now before we go to our final break on the show. Vernon, rematch of Saturday, lots of fireworks in that game, emotional win for your team, obviously. I was impressed by the way you played because you didn't have to defer from your style of play. You played your game plan on Saturday, it worked. What do you expect tomorrow in Vernon?
Well, I think they'll come a little harder at us. Watching tape, I think they played they had a pretty solid game, but I think they've got a little more than they can give, and I'm sure they will bring it tomorrow. And it's like we said at the onset of the show, we talked about how difficult it is to win on the road, and Vernon's 4-0 at home, and I'm sure they want to keep it that keep the goose egg on the board there. And but you know what? I don't think our guys are intimidated by them or who they are. I mean, we're going to go there, and like you said, we're going to play our game and not change our style. And I think we're going to be even a little more hungry this time after what happened last night.
I want to talk about just the standings right now with Vernon. It's so early in the season, and it already feels like a mini playoff series with these two teams. 1 point separates you from first. You've had lots of rivalries in your college coaching days as well, I'm sure. Coaches must relish this kind of home and home, you could say, with Vernon, and the animosity developing between these two teams over the years as well.
Yeah, I think everybody, loves to hate Vernon. I mean, that's, I think it's, that's what happens when you're here in town. But, at the same time, I think, we need to focus on the big picture. And, I think, it's funny, I listen to people and talk about it, and I think it's a little bit like what's going on with Luongo. I think if you can create your own problems by overanalyzing things, and I think some people in town here sometimes overanalyze the rivalry between the two teams. And I know our team, I believe that we can beat them every night we go out and play them, and we need everybody in town this year to believe they can do that too. I find that when you go into Vernon, they might have lost 2 or 3 in a row, and they think you would have thought that they've won 10 in a row. And that's I think the way we get over the hump this year with them is to get everybody, not just our team, not just the coaching staff, but everybody in town believing that we're the team to beat and really believe it.
Well, Saturday wasn't any indication. this team can do it. 6-2, a pretty triumphant victory there.
Well, and that's why I bring it up, because I felt like the energy in the building was something that we haven't seen in a long time, and I think obviously our team gave people a reason to stand up and cheer, but it goes both ways. I think they also stood up and cheered and gave our team something to play for.
And quickly, we can just talk about the weekend and whole couch and Saturday at home, then a Surrey Sunday afternoon game at home. Is it mantra, play smart, not hard, to try to preserve yourself, I guess, for these 3 games in 3 days?
Well, I was always one of the coaches I play for always used to say, use your head to save your feet. And I don't think you ever sit back and try to keep your energy. But I think at the same time, if you're a smart hockey player and you're playing your systems the right way, you can save that energy just in different ways. And so, I think that we need to go after Vernon tomorrow night, and then we'll reevaluate where we're at after Friday night, and that'll dictate kind of what kind of game or the systems that we'll put in place for our game plan on Saturday and so forth going into Sunday. But the biggest thing is we need everybody to show up. If we have guys bringing their B game or C game, it makes it hard for me to play them, and then that's what's going to get us in trouble. When you have 4 games in 5 nights, you need to be able to use your whole bench, and that's what will help you win a majority of the games on the weekend.
And when you have won your 7 games, that's been the key, is the depth displayed by this team.
Absolutely.
Should be a dandy. On Friday night, we'll take a final break. We'll get to email questions and our media panel with Dave Crompton. This is Coach's Corner from the Best Damn Sports Bar.
Here's a look at the Vees' upcoming schedule. Join us next time from the Best Damn Sports Bar on Martin Street in Penticton for another episode of Coach's Corner.
And welcome back to Coach's Corner from the Best Damn Sports Bar in Penticton. We're in our final segment of episode 3. We'll get to our media panel in a moment with Dave Crompton from the Penticton Herald, but it's our viewer questions. We got an email, Fred, for you from Matt Miller. After last night, what are your expectations from this weekend? All 6 points a must, or you just approach it game by game?
Well, clearly it's game by game. I mean, it's. I said earlier tonight, we're 50 games to go, so there's still, another 100 points out there. So we're not going to get too panicked. We just want to make sure that we're playing smart hockey, playing hard, keep our work ethic, like we said, and we want to be able to go into Vernon and try to dictate the same way we did when we were at home. So the key is it's just like anything in life. I mean, one minute everybody's telling you how great you are, and your life seems like everything's just rolling along real well, and then one little glitch, and then it can easily spiral young kids into a negative deal. And our job as a staff is to make sure that, hey, we had 1 loss last night. Let's pick ourselves up, go into Vernon, play our game, and hopefully get back on the winning track. If it doesn't happen, then you know what, you got to get up the next morning, and once again, you got to be mature about it and stop the slide.
Get a W in Vernon. No one's talking about Trail on Wednesday.
Absolutely.
For sure. All right, last question, just from Ed. It says he wants more of a fun one for you. You've been in part of a couple great teams, 2008 championship team, BCHL, over in Nanaimo, and the 2009-2010 team had a 100-point regular season. He wants you to compare this year's team to those two, and if there's any similarities between the 3 editions of the Penticton Vees.
Yeah, you know what, I would say, probably this team and the 07-08 team have some similarities where you have, Alex Even was a 20-year-old goalie that's been around a little bit. You got Gartag, those two. Buchanan reminds me a little bit of what Knudsen brought on our backhand, a big physical presence that was very steady. A little more, depth throughout our 1 through 4 lineup. And so the team that had the 100 points, very high-end talent, no question. Probably the high-end talent on that team was a little better than the 07-08, but our D-core, we might have had 4 guys at a given time that were on the NHL watch list, but there was a lot of young young talent on it. So, Joey LaLeggia was just getting it, just kind of getting going, and we had a handful of, Isaac McLeod, guys that hadn't played a lot of junior hockey. So, and I think in fairness, it would have been nice to see if, to win a championship the year that we won in 07-08, we literally had no injuries whatsoever in the playoffs. We had one, Nick Knudsen had to sit out one game for suspension. Other than that, we had our full lineup from beginning to end. Where the year with the 100-point, we lost Ben Sexton, we lost Jake Johnson, and we had a couple of other injuries that guys were playing through. But those two guys were knocked out for the Vernon series. And so this year, when you talk about must-wins and everything else, I mean, you just want to keep. I think the one thing I like with our team right now, and last night was another indication. Obviously, we didn't pull the game out, but when I look down the bench, it's not. I don't have to just look for one or two guys. There's probably 6, 7, 8 guys when you need a goal that can go out there and get it done.
Depth is key in this team, and no Mike Riley, Mike Hingan comparison.
Not even close. So no, you know what? Mike does a great job coaching our D, but you know what, Mike Riley, he has some attributes that are you don't have to teach.
Yeah, natural. Okay, now we'll get to our media panel. We'll bring in Dave Crompton from the Penticton Herald as a sports for the paper here. And Dave, your first time on the show this year. Thanks for coming on, and your questions for Fred.
Yeah, Coach, I was just wondering, with you've lost a huge piece in Logan Johnson for 25 games. How has Joey Bennick, stepped into that role, and how does it help him grow too as a player, taking on that leadership, as well as the rest of your leadership core there, having to fill in for a veteran captain being?
It's a great question, and I think obviously we didn't want to see Logan go and for that many games, obviously, and I think in a lot of different ways, it's probably other players are maybe getting ice time or leadership responsibilities they wouldn't have had, so hopefully it makes us stronger in the second half. I think Joey Bennick's done an outstanding job being, he's a very business-like player when he gets to the rink, and if anything puts maybe too much on himself. But it's funny, Logan is, I think it's made Logan a better leader. I think he's more vocal now. He's around the room a lot. He's sure training hard, and players are seeing that. It's been a dramatic blow to our hockey club, no question. I mean, to lose a player of that caliber and you're the guy that you named captain for that many games, but you know what? He's going on a visit to Clarkson University this weekend. University of Massachusetts Lowell has been dealing with him, met with him today, and we're real proud of him for that, and hope that things get worked out for his future. And I'm willing to bet that when we talk about depth, when he gets back, I'm willing to bet we're going to be a deeper hockey club when he's back in the lineup.
The January 10th deadline move right there.
Absolutely.
And Dave, again,
Yeah, just throw another quick one at you, Coach. Coaches like to break things down into 10-game segments. Are you pretty happy with what you've done so far, and can you get better? And if you do identify a need, can you find it from within the room?
Yep. You know what? So we do. We make 10-game segments, and unfortunately, there was only one goal that we didn't meet, was the wins. We had last night, if we would have won, we would have met all our goals. We had set a goal of 8-1-1. We made goals for for and against. We made goals for shots for and shots against, and I think we've done a very good job of keeping the shots down. Our offense, is way above where we would have thought that would be as far as the goals for. The thing I like about our, the way we're scoring goals is through hard work. I think we're not cheating the game. We're not playing on one side of the puck. I think when we lose it, we fight to get it back. That's why the puck has been on our stick a lot. As far as being able to add within, yeah, you said it earlier, Logan Johnston is, a lot of teams right now are searching maybe for that one extra guy. For us right now, that's him, and we know what he's going to bring, and we will be a much better hockey club. If we're a good hockey club when he comes in, it'll help us be maybe a great hockey club, and I think that'll be a worrisome thought for a lot of teams.
Any final thoughts, Dave?
And just a quick thought maybe on the defense, Coach. I know you're a little concerned. Obviously, you lost Amy's before the season even got going. You've had the injury to Hannah. There's maybe a little worry about that. It seems from the outside like it's come together with Urban and Buchanan.
Absolutely, that was a huge pickup for us, getting Buchanan and Urban, and so no, I mean we haven't been giving up a lot of shots, and that's the key, and our D are blocking a lot of shots themselves, and that's one of the reasons. But no, we're pretty happy with our back end, and biggest thing is getting Chad's game on track, and once that happens, I mean we've been real happy with Michael Garteg, and our D core from 1 through 7 is pretty solid.
And do you expect to come back to Chad at all this weekend?
Yeah, you know what? We played 3 games in a row. He needs to, like, it's his job, our job to get him feeling good. But I haven't lost faith in him, and I don't think the players have. So he's just gonna have to have faith in himself. There's a reason he was brought here. There's a reason I believe that he should be on our team, and he just needs to go out there and put a good 60 minutes together on one of these games this weekend.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, Dave. Appreciate it. As a media panel, Ranger Calgary fan here. Might go at each other here tonight with them playing. Appreciate you coming on, and hopefully you come on more this year.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, guys.
I'd like to thank Fred as well, coming on the show. Episode 3, we've wrapped things up here from the Best Damn Sports Bar. Next week, we'll talk about the conclusion of the busy weekend, the Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 3 games in 3 days. Vernon, Cowichan, and Surrey could go either way. It could have 10 wins on the year, or it could be a little bit closer in the interior conference. So exciting hockey this weekend. Again, I'd like to thank our sponsors, Divine Hammer Computers and the Sword Summerland. You've been watching the Best Damn. You've been watching Coach's Corner for the Best Damn Sports Bar. Excuse me. I'm your host, Tracy Rogers.
Coach's Corner has been a presentation of the Penticton Vees and FR Media.